Alright, I'm on my way to pick up a special package. I had a transmission shipped from one Craig Chinetsky, I think he's in Pennsylvania, through Fastenal. So I'm on my way now to pick it up. I'm excited. This is yet another 6-speed for the car, but I'm going to take it apart, put the LSD in it, steel shift forks, maybe a couple other things, and hopefully have a stronger, smoother transmission that doesn't grind and give me all sorts of other problems. Yes. Alright, so I'm bringing the transmission back. I know it doesn't really show timestamps necessarily of when each clip was recorded, but basically when I picked up the transmission from Fastenal in the shop van and brought it back, I didn't inspect it at first. I pretty much put it in the corner of the shop and it sat there leading up to Christmas, because you know I was busy with some of that stuff, and also had to buy some more parts for it, like the brass sliders and stuff that go in the shift forks. And on top of that, I was really sick for over a week straight and just didn't have the energy to touch it at all. But day before yesterday, I went and tore the plastic off and inspected it and found that the freight company that shipped it dropped the transmission and dropped it pretty hard, and the case that the casing around one of the bearings on the very end where that plastic cap is got hit so hard where it actually split, and it would leak gear oil if I decided to try to use it that way. So not Fastenal's fault or the seller, because I have proof that it was in perfect condition the day he shipped it out, and I trust the guy anyway. So somewhere along the lines the shipper dropped it and messed it up pretty good. So bringing it back, and I'm at the source another 6-speed. Might actually go to the junkyard this weekend and see if I can pull one there and then inspect it. Anyway. Alright, so the transmission with the cracked case went back, and I went ahead and pulled this one from the junkyard. It's pretty fucking dirty. But I pulled it from the local junkyard Sunday morning. Took about 2 hours. Got hung up on some stuff, but they had a deal going on, and it was just 120 bucks, so I can't complain. You can see the flywheels grinding up in here because of this little bracket right here. Totally forgot about this guy when I was trying to take it apart. I got everything else apart except for this one little fucking nut. I know it's a little hard to see with the wiring harness and stuff that was hanging in the way. But anyway, I'm about to clean it up as best I can, and hopefully in the next couple of days I'll tear it apart and start inspecting everything. I gotta fix a few things, like the locking pin right here broke off. It was already that way when I found it, so I'm gonna buy a new one of those, swap that in there when it's apart. I'm gonna inspect the synchronizers and bearings, and I'm going to install the limited slip differential, steel shift forks, and probably get a metal slave cylinder. I think I found a good link from Justin Garrison for that one. Guy's got so much good information on parts. And I might just get like a stainless clutch line. I already have the ECS tuning bleeder block, so hopefully it'll be a pretty solid transmission before I go boost it. Much better. Much cleaner. Ready to take apart? Got a quick little update. I've been trying to work on the transmission the spare transmission that I'm trying to do a mild build on, but I don't like recording too much stuff at work. But I got everything apart, split the case, took the stacks out and cleaned everything up in the parts washer. Make it look a little better, just a bunch of buildup was in there. And so I'm going to show you where I'm at now. And here's some of the gears from the tranny. I got the steel shift forks fitted onto the stack already, but I'm going to take them off so I can remove the plastic tips and replace them with the SQS Racing brass fork sliders right here. So I'll try to get that knocked out today, and then we'll go over to a different. No, we used to have one there, but I think we bring the ball on to refresh this one. Yeah, alright. Do that. Sure. Here is the Pelican LSD. Went ahead and swapped the ring gear over from the stock differential onto this one, and just about to torque the bolts down now. So went ahead and had to get the ARP Ultra Torque lubrication so it can distribute the torque evenly when you're torquing them down. It's going to be 105 foot-pounds, so that's quite a bit. So I'm going to hopefully get this transmission together tonight and swap it out in the next couple days. And hopefully there'll be no more problems with blowing transmissions, grinding gears, and all that stuff. And there we have it. Ring gear fixed to the Pelican LSD with ARP bolts. Forgot to mention, these 4 bolts come with the kit where you have to use these on opposite corners to get the ring gear flush with the differential. And after that's done, then you can put all the bolts in here. Oop. And I've torqued them all to 105 pounds of torque, you know, opposite corners, and I double check each of them by marking them off with a Sharpie. So hopefully when the transmission's together, it doesn't fall apart on me. Felipe Park in Safety Harbor, Florida, and here she is, all done finally, at least the transmission part of it. I ran into a lot of issues with getting parts and getting everything together, and it took a while to finally complete because I would just do it in my spare time at work, but finally it's done, and I got about 2,000 miles, I think, on the transmission and the clutch that was put back in there. So the quick rundown is, this is a 6 from a 2007 GTI, and I put that Pelican LSD in it, as you saw earlier in the video, with the steel shift forks, the sliders, new flange seals, a couple other things. And I did have an issue with the locking pin, the black plastic locking pin that goes into the transmission when you're trying to disconnect the end links. And it just wouldn't go in all the way, which was weird. Didn't seem like there was any kind of obstruction, but it would not go in all the way. So long story short, it would leak a little bit of gear oil as the transmission was in the car and I was driving around. So when I found the leak, I tried remedying it with a simple fix. It didn't quite work. So when I went to actually fix it permanently, I put some JB Weld around the outside of it and put it in there, and though that sounds rigged, it actually works. And there's no more leaking, so we're good. But I was low on transmission oil, and I didn't want to spend, $65 to drain and fill the transmission to make sure I had the right amount in there with the OEM stuff. So I actually went back to an email that I got from Pelican where they recommended either OEM gear oil for the car or Valvoline 7590, which is synthetic LSD gear oil. And it feels good. It feels as good, if not better, than the stock stuff. So really happy about that. And she drives so good now. So with the new transmission in there, everything's just shifting super smooth, and the lightweight wheels and everything, it's running better than ever, really. It was a bit of a process, but it was a whole lot of fun, pulling the transmission out and tearing it down by myself, and taking everything out piece by piece, installing the differential, and just doing it on my own physically was intimidating but fun, and wouldn't mind doing it again. But as for the engine, for the turbo setup, it's going to be going to a machine shop. I might reassemble it, but I'm not doing machine work. But yeah, I do have a lot of people that help me along the way. Normally things like this can't just be done 100% solo. Craig Chinitsky, Justin Garrison, Josh Pashis from Nothing Leaves Stock. There's a lot of people that help me with sourcing parts, some technical specifications on putting things together the right way. I have a lot of people to thank for that. Pretty much they all came from the Volkswagen 2.5 group on Facebook. A lot of the members on there. So best online group I've been on by far after all these years. So here she is. I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy it, and still gonna try to turbo the car sometime this year, hopefully by the end of 2019. We'll see. Stay tuned.